All right. Hey, everyone. Welcome back for another deep dive with us. Today, we're going to be looking at, well, just one source this time.
Okay.
It's a tech review, a pretty recent one.
All right.
It's for the HP Victus 15.6-inch gaming laptop. The model number is 15FB 2006 Sanning.
Gotcha.
And the review comes from TechWise Corner.
Okay.
Have you heard of them?
Yeah, they're a great blog. I mean, they do a really good job of just like, breaking down even like the most complex tech stuff,
Yeah.
making it really accessible.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So we figured this deep dive would be, not just about this specific laptop,
Yeah.
but kind of like what to look for in a good gaming laptop in general.
Sure.
So this HP Victus, I was glancing through the review, and a couple of things kind of jumped out at me.
Oh, yeah.
First of all, it's supposed to be like, a beast, like for gaming and all that.
Mm-hmm.
But it also has this really sleek design. Like, I don't know, they were saying it could even pass in a boardroom. Not your typical, like, flashy gaming laptop.
Yeah, right.
And then get this, the review is claiming it has crazy long battery life.
Really?
Like for a gaming laptop, which I have to admit I was a little skeptical of.
Yeah, that's usually not their strong suit.
No, not at all. So we'll definitely have to dig into that.
For sure.
But first, maybe you can give us a little background on TechWise Corner.
Yeah.
Like what makes their review so, trustworthy?
Yeah, I think one of the things that TechWise Corner does really well is that they take this balanced approach, They don't just like list out the specs and that's it,
Yeah.
They actually like test the devices in real world scenarios.
Yeah.
So you get the full picture, like how it actually performs.
That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So let's jump into the review itself.
All right.
I have to admit, the first thing that struck me was the design.
Oh, yeah.
They're calling the finish Mica Silver. And they describe it as like sophisticated, which I thought was interesting, right? Like
yeah.
it's almost trying to bridge that gap, between gaming and professional aesthetics.
Interesting.
Like, could you see yourself using this laptop for both? Like intense gaming and then like, spreadsheets and work stuff?
That's a good question. I mean, I think it's definitely an interesting strategy from HP, right?
Yeah.
Traditionally, gaming laptops have always been kind of like in your face with the design.
Solely?
All the, like the crazy colors and the aggressive lines.
Yeah.
But I feel like there's definitely a growing market for something a little more understated.
Right, like something you wouldn't be embarrassed to pull out,
Exactly.
in a meeting or whatever.
And you know what else? The review really emphasizes how durable this thing is.
Oh, yeah.
Which I think for a lot of people, especially if you're going to be carrying it around, that's super important.
For sure. A laptop that can actually handle, like, being tossed in a backpack.
Yeah.
Is essential these days. Okay, so it's durable. It's got this kind of, sleek design. And they also mention the backlit keyboard, which is always a plus in my book.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
I mean, it's practical, right? Low light situations, all that.
Yeah.
But it also just adds that cool gamer vibe.
Totally.
But okay, let's get to what really matters here, the specs.
All right, hit me.
So we're talking AMD Ryzen 7 processor.
Okay.
16 GB of RAM.
Yes.
512 GB SSD. Now, for those of us who don't speak fluent tech, what does all that actually translate to in terms of like real world performance?
Okay, so let's break it down. 16 gigs of RAM, that means you can have like a ton of stuff open at once.
Okay.
Like, demanding programs, video editing, design tools.
Yeah.
And it's not going to slow down. Like, you won't experience any lag.
Gotcha.
And then the 512 GB SSD, that's all about speed.
Right.
Like lightning fast boot times, your applications and games will load super quickly.
This is all about speed and efficiency.
Pretty much. Yeah.
I like it. Okay. So that's the processor, the RAM, the SSD.
Yep.
But there's one component that really caught my eye.
Oh, yeah.
The NVIDIA GeForce RTX 4060 graphics card.
Ooh.
The review made it sound like this thing is an absolute beast when it comes to gaming.
Yeah, the RTX 4060, that's a top tier card.
Okay.
Like, you're going to be able to play pretty much anything you throw at it.
Nice.
It's built for high fidelity gaming. It's got ray tracing, which is for like super realistic lighting and reflections in games.
Wow.
And then it's also got all these like AI powered enhancements.
Oh, wow.
So the performance is just incredibly smooth.
Right. That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
So it's not just about gaming, though, right?
Right, yeah.
The review also mentioned that the Victus can handle multitasking like a champ. So let's say someone's, editing photos, streaming music,
Yeah.
browsing the web, like all at the same time.
Oh, yeah, the average day.
Exactly. What kind of difference would a laptop like this make for them?
I mean, you would definitely notice a difference in responsiveness, for sure.
Yeah.
Like, switching between all those tasks would be totally seamless.
Gotcha.
No more like, those frustrating slowdowns that can totally kill your workflow.
Oh, yeah, I hate that.
Yeah, nobody likes that.
Okay, cool. Now let's talk about the visuals.
Right.
They were raving about the 15.6-inch full HD IPS display.
Okay, yeah.
Can you break down that IPS part for us?
Yeah.
What does that even mean, and why should we care?
Yeah, so IPS, it basically means you get wider viewing angles.
Okay.
So it's great if you're going to be sharing your screen or watching a movie with someone, like no more crowding around, trying to find the sweet spot.
Right. Yeah.
Everyone gets a good view.
That's awesome. They also mentioned color accuracy and vibrancy, which is obviously great for gamers.
Yeah, for sure.
But really for anyone who's, working with visuals or just wants that like really rich viewing experience.
Absolutely.
Okay, but here's where I got really skeptical, I have to say.
Oh, yeah. What's that?
The review claims that this HP Victus can get up to 13 hours of battery life.
Wow.
Now, I'm all for a long-lasting battery, don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
But for a gaming laptop, that just seems kind of unheard of, right?
It's pretty impressive, I have to admit.
Yeah.
But you're right to be skeptical. I mean, 13 hours, that's probably based on general use,
Yeah.
Not when you're actually like, in the middle of an intense gaming session.
Right.
Those power-hungry components are going to drain the battery a lot faster when you're really pushing the laptop.
So it's more like work all day, maybe squeeze in some lighter gaming or streaming.
Yeah, something like that.
And then you need to find an outlet.
Probably.
What do you think? How important is battery life to you in a laptop? Is it like a deal breaker, or are you usually plugged in anyway? Let us know in the comments.
I mean, it is interesting to see gaming laptops kind of starting to challenge that assumption that they always have to be tethered to an outlet.
Yeah.
Like the battery tech is definitely evolving, right?
It is. It is for sure. Okay, let's move on to the software side of things.
Okay.
So the Victus comes with Windows 11 pre-installed.
All right.
And I'm sure a lot of you are already using Windows 11, but for those who aren't, what are some of the key features or changes that are relevant to this particular laptop?
Well, one of the big things with Windows 11 is just like the overall interface. It's a lot more modern.
Okay.
It's visually appealing. It's more user-friendly, I think.
Okay.
Like even little things, they centered the start menu.
Yeah.
There are these new snap layouts for better multitasking.
Okay.
It's just, I think, overall a more intuitive and easy to navigate experience.
That's cool. And what about for gamers specifically? Are there any like gaming optimizations in Windows 11 that we should be aware of?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Microsoft has included a bunch of stuff.
Okay.
Like there's auto HDR, which automatically enhances the visual range of games.
Okay.
Even if they don't natively support HDR,
Yeah.
And then there's direct storage, which basically speeds up loading times by changing how games access data on the SSD.
So that's a big win for gamers.
For sure, yeah.
But what about for, the non-gamers out there?
Yeah.
Is there anything in Windows 11 that would be particularly beneficial for them on a laptop like this?
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
I mean, Windows 11 has a big focus on security.
Uh-huh.
So there are all these enhanced features to protect your data and your privacy.
Okay.
Plus, there are improvements to multitasking, like I mentioned, virtual desktops,
Yeah.
touch screen support.
Okay.
All of that can really boost productivity
Gotcha.
and just make the whole experience smoother.
That's great to hear.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's talk connectivity now.
All right.
The review listed a bunch of ports, USB-A, USB-C, HDMI. Like, why is this variety of ports important?
Well, think about all the different devices you might want to connect.
Yeah.
External hard drives, monitors,
Right.
gaming controllers, even your phone. Having a good selection of ports means you don't have to, constantly be hunting for adapters,
Oh, yeah.
Like, the dongle life is not a good look.
I can relate to that struggle for sure.
Yeah.
The review actually mentioned that the ports are thoughtfully placed too, which I appreciate.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
There's nothing worse than having a port you can't even use because it's blocked by something else.
Exactly. It's all about creating a user-friendly experience.
Right.
And of course, they mentioned the Wi-Fi 6 for super fast internet, which is crucial for online gaming and streaming, obviously.
Yeah, absolutely.
But you know what else caught my eye in the review?
What's that?
They were praising the Victus's thermal management system.
Okay, now why is that so important for a gaming laptop? I mean, it's not going to like melt down or anything, right?
It won't melt down, but overheating can be a real issue with gaming laptops.
Oh, really?
Yeah, all those powerful components, they generate a lot of heat.
Uh-huh.
And if that heat isn't managed properly, it can lead to performance throttling.
What does that mean?
Basically, the laptop slows itself down to prevent damage.
Oh, wow. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
So it's all about keeping things cool to maintain that top-notch performance, especially during like, marathon gaming sessions.
Exactly.
But how does the Victus actually keep things cool?
Well, the review mentioned they've got multiple heat pipes that draw heat away from the processor and the graphics card. And then they have strategically placed fans to expel all that hot air and just keep the internal temperature under control.
That's pretty impressive.
Yeah, it seems like HP put a lot of thought into this cooling system.
Yeah, I could see how that would make a big difference for gamers, who are really pushing their laptops to the limit.
Absolutely.
So it seems like this HP Victus has a lot going for it.
Yeah.
It's got the power, the looks, the battery life to handle a lot of different tasks, but we've only just scratched the surface.
We'll be right back to dig even deeper into the details and discuss what all this means for you. Stay tuned. Welcome back. So before the break, we were talking about that, the Victus's impressive thermal management system.
Right.
Keeping things cool, but it's not just about preventing like performance issues.
You're right. No one wants a laptop that feels like a furnace on their lap.
Exactly.
Like a cool and quiet machine that makes a big difference, for comfort.
Yeah.
Especially during those like long gaming sessions.
For sure.
Did the review mention anything about like fan noise?
Yeah, they actually praised the Victus for staying relatively quiet, even under heavy load.
Okay.
So it seems like HP really put some thought into the design of that cooling system.
That's good to hear. Because, yeah, a noisy fan can be super distracting.
Oh, yeah.
Especially if you're trying to, like, focus on work or really get immersed in a game.
Absolutely.
Okay, so let's go back to the battery life for a minute.
Okay.
The review claims up to 13 hours, but we know that's probably for, like, general use.
Right.
What's a realistic expectation for battery life when you're actually gaming?
Yeah, that's a good question.
Like, is being tethered to an outlet just, like, an inevitable part of the gaming laptop experience?
It really depends, on the type of games you're playing and the settings you're using.
Right.
Like if you're playing, really demanding games with high graphics settings, that's going to drain the battery a lot faster.
For sure.
But if you're playing, less intensive games or just having like a casual gaming session, you might be able to squeeze out a few hours of unplugged playtime.
Okay, so it's possible.
Yeah, it's definitely possible.
It just depends on, like, what you're doing.
Exactly.
I guess it comes down to how important portability is to you.
Right.
Like, some gamers might be totally fine with a shorter battery life.
Yeah.
If it means they can have a more powerful machine.
For sure.
Others might prioritize portability and be willing to, sacrifice some performance for that longer battery life.
Absolutely. It's all about finding the right balance for your needs.
Right.
And your gaming habits, you know? And the cool thing is, like, with technology constantly evolving, we might start seeing even more powerful gaming laptops with impressive battery life in the future.
That would be amazing.
Yeah, it's definitely exciting to see where things are going.
Okay, so let's dive back into the software side of things for a bit.
Right.
The Victus comes with Windows 11, and we talked about some of those, like, gaming-focused features.
Right.
But for someone who might not be, like, a hardcore gamer, how does Windows 11 enhance that, like, overall user experience? What are some of the key changes or improvements that would benefit, the average user?
Well, I think one of the biggest changes in Windows 11 is just the redesigned interface.
Okay.
It's a lot more modern, it's visually appealing, and I think it's just more user-friendly overall.
Okay, I like the sound of that.
Yeah, the start menu is centered now. There are these new snap layouts for better multitasking. And even if you're not a touchscreen user, the interface is just designed to be more intuitive and easier to navigate, I think.
That's great to hear, because I'm always a fan of, a more streamlined and intuitive interface.
Yeah, absolutely.
I know security is a top priority for a lot of users.
For sure.
Did the review mention any of the, like, security enhancements in Windows 11?
Yeah, they touched on Windows Hello, which allows you to log in using, like, facial recognition or a fingerprint scanner.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, it's more secure than traditional passwords and way more convenient.
Right.
And then, Windows 11 also has enhanced protections against malware and phishing attacks.
Okay.
So you can browse and work with, like, more peace of mind.
That's great. A little extra peace of mind is always welcome these days.
For sure.
All right, let's move on to connectivity.
Okay.
The review listed a variety of ports, including, USB-A, USB-C, and HDMI.
Yeah.
Can you break down why having a range of ports is so important for, the average user?
It's all about flexibility and compatibility, really.
Okay.
You want to be able to easily connect all your devices without needing, a bunch of adapters.
Right.
So USB-A is still the most common type of port, so it's great for connecting older devices like mice and keyboards.
Gotcha.
USB-C is the newer standard, offering faster data transfer speeds and the ability to charge your laptop.
Okay.
And then HDMI is essential for connecting to external displays.
Right.
Whether it's for, work presentations or watching movies on a bigger screen.
Yeah. I think we've all been there, fumbling with adapters and dongles, trying to make things work.
Nobody wants that.
So having a variety of ports built in definitely simplifies things.
Absolutely.
And as we mentioned before, the review highlighted the, thoughtful placement of the ports.
Oh, yeah, that's important.
What does that mean in practical terms?
Well, it means that the ports are positioned in a way that makes them easy to access and use.
Okay.
Without creating a tangled mess of cables.
Right.
And they're less likely to be blocked by other devices or peripherals,
Yeah.
It's a small detail, but it can make a big difference in terms of user experience.
Totally. It's those little details that can really enhance, the overall usability of a laptop.
For sure.
Speaking of connectivity, the review mentioned Wi-Fi 6 for, blazing fast internet speeds.
Oh, yeah.
Can you explain what makes Wi-Fi 6 so much better than previous Wi-Fi standards?
Well, Wi-Fi 6 is designed to handle the increasing demands of modern internet usage, basically.
Okay.
It offers significantly faster speeds, greater capacity, and just improved performance, especially in environments with multiple connected devices.
So it's perfect for, households or offices where everyone is, streaming and gaming and working online at the same time.
Exactly. And it's not just about speed.
Okay.
Wi-Fi 6 also reduces latency.
What's latency?
Latency is that delay between, sending a command and seeing the action on screen. Lower latency is crucial for online gaming, video conferencing, anything that requires real-time responsiveness, basically.
So it's like having a smoother, more responsive internet connection overall.
Yeah, pretty much.
Definitely a major upgrade.
For sure.
Okay. The review also touched on, the balance that the Victus strikes between performance and portability. Why is that such a challenging balance for gaming laptops to achieve?
Well, traditionally, gaming laptops have prioritized performance above all else.
Okay.
And that often meant bulky designs and heavy components.
Right.
But portability is becoming increasingly important, especially with the rise of remote work and digital nomadism.
You're right. People want a laptop they can easily take with them. You know, to a coffee shop, a co-working space, or even just to a different room in their house.
Exactly. And it seems like HP has found a good balance with the Victus.
Yeah.
It's powerful enough to handle demanding games, but it's also sleek and portable enough to take on the go.
I like that.
It doesn't look like a clunky gaming machine at all.
Yeah.
Which I think is a big plus for a lot of people.
I'm curious to hear what our listeners think.
Yeah.
How important is portability to you when choosing a laptop? Is it a deal breaker? Or are you happy to sacrifice some portability for more power?
Yeah.
Let us know in the comments.
For sure.
But before we wrap up our deep dive into the HP Victus, we need to address, the elephant in the room.
Okay.
The rise of cloud gaming.
Oh, yeah.
With services like GeForce Now and Xbox Cloud Gaming gaining popularity. Some people are questioning the need for powerful gaming laptops at all.
It's an interesting point.
So the question is, does a laptop like the Victus still hold its own in a world where cloud gaming is becoming more accessible?
Yeah, that's a great question.
And it's one that we'll tackle head on after a quick break.
All right.
We're right back to discuss the pros and cons of cloud gaming and how it might impact the future of gaming laptops. Don't go anywhere. Okay, so we're back. And before the break, remember, we were talking about cloud gaming, right? Is there still a place for a powerful gaming laptop?
Yeah.
Like the HP Victus, when you've got all these cloud gaming services popping up?
It's a good question. I mean, a cloud gaming definitely has some advantages.
Yeah, like what?
You don't need to invest in expensive hardware.
Right.
You can play demanding games on pretty much any device.
Right.
And you get access to this huge library of games.
It sounds pretty amazing, honestly.
It does, right?
Is there a catch?
Well, the biggest thing is internet speed and stability.
Okay, yeah.
You need a really, really solid internet connection with low latency to have a good experience with cloud gaming. Otherwise, you're going to run into lag, stuttering, input delays, and that can just totally ruin the fun.
Totally, yeah. And I mean, not everyone has access to like super fast, reliable internet.
Right, exactly.
And especially for like competitive gamers.
Yeah.
Every millisecond counts. So even a tiny bit of lag can be a deal breaker.
Absolutely.
And then there's also the issue of like game availability, right?
Yeah, that's another thing.
Not every game is available on cloud gaming services.
Right.
So if you're looking to play something specific,
yeah,
you might be out of luck.
Exactly.
What about you? Have you tried cloud gaming?
I have. Yeah, I've dabbled in it a bit.
Yeah.
I think it definitely has potential.
Yeah.
But for me personally, I still prefer playing games locally.
Okay.
On a powerful machine. Like, I like having control over my settings, my hardware.
Yeah.
And I don't have to worry about my internet, messing things up.
I can see that.
Yeah.
It's about finding what works for you.
Right.
So it seems like cloud gaming, it's a great option for some people.
For sure.
But it's not like this perfect solution for everyone.
Absolutely.
Okay, well, let's get back to the HP Victus.
Oh, right.
I mean, we've covered a lot in this deep dive.
Yeah, we have.
We talked about the design, the specs, that surprisingly long battery life, the connectivity features, all that good stuff.
It's a pretty impressive machine.
What stood out to you the most? What would you want to know more about?
Yeah. What do you think, listeners?
Let us know in the comments.
Yeah. Here's a thought, though.
Okay.
The review talked about, the Victus striking that balance between performance and portability.
Right.
But how important is that balance these days, really?
Yeah.
When you've got cloud gaming, you've got increasingly powerful mobile devices. Is portability becoming less important? Or is it still a key factor for, the modern user?
That's a great question to leave everyone with. We'd love to hear your thoughts.
Yeah, let us know.
As always, thanks for joining us for another deep dive. Be sure to check out the full TechWise Corner review for all the details. And explore the exciting world of gaming laptops. Until next time, stay curious.